Hello, my name is Paul Chefalou, and I'm the author of App Creator Pro. App Creator Pro is an iPhone application that is available on the Apple iStore right now. So, App Creator Pro is a programming language that I wrote that is designed for the iPhone, and it will allow anybody to create elaborate iPhone applications for personal use without the use of a PC or a Mac. App Creator Pro will make the iPhone an extension of your imagination. So, this is the fourth video in the series that I've started, and I'm going to try to do something a little different in this one. Normally, the first program that traditionally people write is known as the Hello World program. Well, we won't start with that, but I will do a Hello World as part of maybe the fifth or sixth video. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an application that starts out when you bring the application up and running. It starts out with a cyan form or blue, and when you tap the screen, it turns the screen orange, and when you double tap the screen, it will turn the screen back to cyan. And that's all the program will do right now, but it will show you many features and capabilities of App Creator Pro that will give you ideas on doing your own apps and so forth. So, let's get started. All right, so we're brought to the main menu. And what we're going to do is we're going to edit a program. We're going to start with a basic application versus an images application or a Unity utility application. All right, and that's in the Templates tab, as you see down here. So let's start with the basic application. We're given the option to create as new or view only. We will choose create as new because we want to make a copy of the template and have it show up in the Sandbox. If we just do the view, to view it, we can't make any changes. All we can do is just look at it. So the project has been created in the Sandbox. And now you'll see that there is a default name that's assigned, New Project -9. And you're looking at the Application Development Editor. And it has three parts: project information, displays information, which is the forms, the views, the controls, and all of those things. And then there's this part down here called modules. Modules are a great place to keep functions and variables and things that do not have a GUI associated with them or a control. So the basic application is an actual working application. So if we were to run that application by pressing play, you'll see that there's a splash screen, and then the application appears, and you'll see that there's an advisory area here where you can print messages to the user. It has the title of the application here. It has a toolbar at the bottom with 4 buttons. Right now, I have no assignment to them. It has an exit button at the upper left-hand corner. And then it also has this options button, which by itself is an about. So if I were to click that, it would take you to an about screen. And this is all the information that you have an about. Okay? So so this is what the application looks like here. So what we're going to do is this area here that looks this taupe color, it's going to start out as cyan. And then when we double tap the screen, okay, it's going to turn to orange. I mean, when we single tap the screen, it's going to turn to orange. And when we double tap the screen, it will turn to cyan again. All right, so let's exit the app. All right, let's get back to the editor. And the first thing you typically should do in the project is define the project name. Now, App Creator Pro creates unique names for you. So if you wanted to do something real quickly to test out something that you'd like to do, You really don't have to assign labels or names or anything like that because it just makes everything unique for you. The problem with that is that unless it's something really simple, it's real hard to distinguish between variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, and variable 4. So you really should give names to all these things. So let's go to the project info. And the first thing we'll do is we'll change the project name. So we press this I up top. All right. And so now you'll see that the default name is here. We'll just press this X to clear it. And we will call this, let's call this Color Tap as the name of our, okay, we'll just call it Color Tap. We'll call it Color Tap Demo. How's that? Okay, we'll say done. And now there's the title of our program, Color Demo. Now, we also should change the icon. You don't have to, it's a default icon, but typically pictures bring your attention to the thing you're looking for better than words do. So let's go and change the icon. And you'll see that here's the icons. And if you want to make the icon a picture from any one of your libraries, you select pictures, and right now there are no photos, but you would see your photo library, and from your photo library you can actually make that the icon. All right, so this indicator says that there were no pictures that came back as the default picture. So let's go back to the icons. All right, and we're dealing with color. So let's pick something that deals with color. That at least draw attention to color. Here we go. We'll use the painter. All right, so it puts the icon here. We press done, and now you'll see the icon shows up here. This is the author, which is the default author. You can set this up in the settings so that your name always comes up. But in this particular case, this is a demo name, a default name. So we could change that now, but there's no need to. I'll use today's date when the program was created. So if you make changes, you can modify the updated. There's a version. In this case, the default version is 1.0.0, but we can change this and make it any version that you'd like. You also notice that down here in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the word edit and a pad with a pencil. That's because we're in the create mode. If we were in the view mode, you would just see a sheet of paper here, and this would be view. Also notice at the bottom, there's 1 of 2, which means there are 2 views. And you can get the other view by sliding. Okay, see the sliding to view. And on the second view, what you'll see is a description. So in this case, we should put a description of what this thing does so that when we look it up, we know what it is, right? So the description would be, let's see. This is an application which will change color when the display is tapped. Okay? All right, so let's try that. We'll say done. All right, here's the description. And the startup form. This is the form that you want to select that you want to come up first. So if you have several forms in your project, only one form can be the first form. And this is where you select that form from the list of forms that you have in the project to go first. All right. You'll also notice up in the upper right-hand corner the symbol here of a book, an open book. This is the help screen. So help is always available to you to do. It's hypertext. You can read about what are forms, how to use forms, how to controls and views deal with these. It'll take you to the links. You can go back and so forth. All right. So at any time that's available to you. All right. So we've labeled the project. Okay. And if we want to confirm what we just did, we can press the I. And that will give us a description of Color Tap Demo is the name of the program. Here's the icon that we chose. This is the date that it was created and also updated. And here is a description. And this project is the project file, how it's stored on the phone. All right. So now we're ready for the display. So we'll go to the displays section. And this brings you to a list of forms that you have in the project. In this case, there's only one form, the main form. And so if we needed to add other forms, we can press add. It'll show us a library of forms. You pick which form you want. It'll add it in here. And now you'll have multiple forms. And that's where you have to go and decide with the main form in the project. So let's just go look at the main form. Now you'll notice this brings you to the form editor. All right. So, and this editor right now is going to allow you to modify the form that we selected in the list of forms. So there's the form attributes, form views, form widgets, form variables, form functions, and form events. If you want to know what these things are, there are other videos. The first 1, 2, and 3 videos will talk about these items. If you're not sure, you can always go to the help, and the help will tell you things like what is a view. Okay, and this will give you a description of views are used to extend the visual experience for a form of an application and so forth. Okay, so anytime you want to modify any characteristic of a form, that's known as an attribute. So a characteristic of a form would be the color of the form, the toolbar on the form, the labels on the form. Is the form enabled? Is it disabled? Is it invisible? Do you want to turn on the advisory? Do you want to turn off the advisory? And so forth. Okay, those are all attributes that you find on a form, and you'd find those in the form attributes option here. All right, so let's go there first. All right, and you'll notice that at the bottom there are 8 views, and on those 8 views you'll see all the options to do with the form. These are all the characteristics and attributes that you can modify about the form. Okay. All right, so normally if this were a default form and you had many forms, same idea. You want to give a name to the form because a default form name, form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means nothing. In this particular case, this is only one form. It's called the main form. There's no need to label it because it's already done. You may want to give it an icon that tells you some description about that particular form, but you don't have to in this case, and we can just use the default icon. Again, you have the option to change the create date of the form and also the version. Now, you can have a project that this form might have been modified several times, and so its version number would be different from the version number of the project. Okay, so what we'll do is now you'll notice that on page number 2 in the view, you see this as background color. Remember, we want the form to come up as cyan when it starts out, so we have to change the background color. This is telling us right now that the background color is taupe by default, and we saw that, and it's 100% opacity. Okay, which means it's opaque and it's not transparent. So we'll press the I to modify the background color, and then we're given a list of colors, default colors to choose from. Okay, so the color we want is cyan. We want the cyan brush, so we select cyan brush, And then that brings us to another screen that will allow us to customize and modify that cyan brush. So, it might be, chartreuse or some other color that comes off of cyan. And this will give you the ability to adjust that. It'll also give you the ability to adjust the opacity, okay, which is the transparency in this case. All right, so we're done. Okay, so you'll see the label changes cyan, and that's telling you that that's the background color of the form. All right, so at this point, there really is nothing else we have to modify. We don't need to have any wallpaper. We don't have to put any widgets. We're not concerned about the advisory. We're not concerned about the toolbar at this point. We don't care about passwords. There are no views and so forth. All right, so now that we made it so that when the form comes up for the first time, it will be cyan. Now what we need to do is we need to have a way to modify that in code. So the way to do that is we could use a function, but then we have to call the function. So in this case, we're using an events, which is the tap and double tap. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see it says form events. And when you go to there, you'll see that it says single tap, double tap, and change view. This means that if I tap the screen once, this event will run, and whatever code we write in for this function here will be executed. Same thing with the double tap, and same thing with the change view. Okay, so let's do the single tap first, and you'll notice that this is a blank function. There are no code, so we have to add the first line of code. We're given the option of 3 types of statements to use. We can use an assignment statement, we can use an if-then condition, and we can use an equation statement. Now, because we're taking an attribute of the form and we're assigning it the color orange, then what we're doing is an assignment statement. Okay? So we want to select assignment statement. All right, this takes us to the assignment editor. So what you'll see is that down at the bottom, you'll see it says set to, get from, function, and done. Now, an assignment has 2 parts, has a left-hand side and a right-hand side. The left-hand side of the equation is what's going to be set. That's why it says set to. And you see it's the farthest to the left of the buttons. Then what you're going to set that value to comes from the get from. All right? And you can also have it come from the execution of a function, or you may just want to make the assignment a function call. It works also. So we'll go to the set to, and you notice we'll get a list that says variable value, form attribute, view attribute, and widget attribute. Now, because we're going to be changing a form attribute, we want to select form attribute as the assignment type. If we're not sure what these are, just go to the help in the eye and it'll give you a description of what these are. Okay, so we want form attribute. So now it's going to give us a list of forms because it wants to know which form do you want to change the attribute on. In this case, we only have one form, so that's the form we want. Now it gives you a list of attributes that you're allowed to change. There's the color, there's the toolbar visible, toolbar color, toolbar text, toolbar enabled, toolbar image. Tag is a custom variable. It's a custom place to hold data. It's a convenient place to hold data. You have advisory text. You have a special color code for the advisory text, or you want to show another form with a special effect. So in this case, we want to change the color, the background color of the form. So we select background color. Now you'll notice that it says form.attribute color equals, and then it says null. It says null on the right-hand side because we have to fill the get from. So now we say get from, and we're given the assignment type again. Now, the thing we're trying to do is we're trying to set the value of the color attribute of the form to a discrete value. In this case, blue. Because it's, orange. because it's a discrete value. Um, you want to add a constant value. So if we select constant value, you'll see that it knows that because the attribute is a color, it'll only give you a list of allowable colors. Okay? So we want orange. So now you'll see that it says that on the plate on the side that said null, it says now value orange. Okay, and that's it. We're done with the single tap. So we say done, and then we say save up above. And now we've saved this line. So we're done with this. We say leave function. Now we have to do the double tap. We select the double tap. We add. It's an assignment statement. Then we go to the set to. What is it that we're setting? A form attribute. This is the only form from the list of forms, so that's the form we want. Again, it's the color that we want to change. And now we do the get from. It's a constant value. We want to put it back to cyan. And here's the color cyan. All right, and that's it. So now we say done. We say save. This is the double tap. So we're done with the function. All right, and so now we've completed the code. And so now we'll go to the section where we want to play, because we want to see the effect of our program. So we'll say play. You notice the splash screen now has the demo name in it and all the other description. The screen comes up as cyan, like it's supposed to. I single tap it, changes to orange. I double tap it, changes back to blue. And you have it. Now, there's a tremendous amount of code associated with doing this operation. But as you can see, the language uses special macro commands, and it uses wizards to get you to where you need to go, so that you don't have to worry about searching or trying to figure out, where did I put that variable or so forth. You can easily find it. All right, and we can go to the about, and you'll know that the about now says color tap, and it has all the description and so forth. Okay, so we'll exit the application, and we'll exit the sandbox. It says leave sandbox. And then when we go to the sandbox tab, you'll see up at the top, there are other projects in the sandbox. You can have more than one project in the sandbox, and you can work on it whenever you want. Start it while you're on the train, finish it over the weekend. You can have many projects going at the same time. Does not matter. But you do notice here that it says that one up top says color tap demo. That's our project that we just made. It shows you that it's the first version. It uses a basic form, and it uses the basic project, and it's in edit mode because we're modifying it. And if you need to know any information, you press the I, and then that'll tell you something about the project. It'll tell you that editing project, that it is an edit. Okay? And there you have it. App Creator Pro. It's available on the App Store right now. Well, I'll see you later at the next video, which will be a Hello World. Thank you.